6 months after my son's graduation ceremony, the school counselor called me and whispered, "Mr. Hargrove, I noticed something deeply wrong in the records. Come immediately. Alone. And please don't say anything to your son." Before we continue, please subscribe to Dad's Cold Justice and let us know where you are listening from in the comments. The call came on a Thursday morning while I sat at my kitchen table in Portland, Oregon, sorting through property tax documents. My name is Gerald Hargrove. I spent 35 years building Hargrove Plumbing Supply, 2 warehouses, and a distribution network stretching across the Pacific Northwest. Good work. Honest work. The kind that leaves calluses and a clear conscience. I almost let the unknown number go to voicemail. "Mr. Hargrove," the woman began, her voice barely above a whisper. "This is Diane Coulter. I was the academic coordinator at Westbridge University during your son Marcus's enrollment. I need to meet with you in person. Alone. Please don't tell Marcus." My grip tightened around my coffee mug. "What's this about? I can't explain over the phone. But I found something reviewing old records and you need to see it. Something that affects you directly." The kitchen felt different suddenly, like the air had thickened. "What kind of something tomorrow?" "Sepuluh A.M. The University Administration Building. 3rd floor. Please. Mr. Hargrove. Come by yourself." Before I could respond, footsteps thundered down the stairs. My son Tyler, 29 years old, appeared in the kitchen doorway in a wrinkled t-shirt, hair uncombed, energy drink already in hand, though it wasn't yet 9 in the morning. "Dad," Tyler announced as if continuing a conversation already in progress. "My car won't pass emissions. I need you to cover the repair costs." "Like." This week, his girlfriend Priya appeared behind him, nodding in agreement, sliding into a chair at my table without so much as a good morning. "I'll be there," I said quietly into the phone. Diane exhaled with what sounded like relief. "Thank you. I'm sorry to put this on you, Mr. Hargrove." She hung up. Tyler was still talking. "The mechanic said it's the catalytic converter. That's like $1. Lambe. You said you'd help with car stuff when I moved back." I stared at the spot on the wall above his head, processing both conversations at once. "We'll talk about it later." "Later," Tyler groaned. "I need the car running by Monday. Priya has yoga on Monday." I turned back to my property documents and said nothing more. After a long moment, Tyler left, pulling Priya with him. I heard the television click on in the living room. It was 8:47 inches the morning. They had moved in 14 months ago. Tyler after losing his apartment lease, Priya following 6 weeks later because, as Tyler explained, it just makes more sense financially. New rent. No contribution to utilities or groceries. No end date discussed. My house in the Lake Oswego neighborhood outside Portland. 4 bedrooms. A workshop I never used anymore. A garden going to seed. All of it quietly colonized. I tried to focus on the property documents. My mind kept circling back to Diane Coulter's voice. Something that affects you directly. I had paid for Marcus's education. My eldest son. 4 years at Westbridge University. Tuition. Housing. Meal plans. Books. A laptop. A monthly allowance. Every invoice that arrived I paid without question. 120,000. Zero total. Marcus was now 33, living in Seattle, working in tech, married to a woman named Claudette. They visited twice a year, called on holidays, seemed happy, successful, independent. Everything I had hoped for. What could possibly be wrong in the records? The day stretched endlessly. That evening, my younger son Tyler dropped onto the couch beside me while I watched the news. "Hey, so about the car." "Dad," he began. "Priya and I have actually been thinking, and we think the spare room could be a really nice home office for her consulting work. She'd need a desk, maybe a new monitor setup. We figured you weren't really using that space." I muted the television and looked at him. "That's my storage room." Tyler: "Yeah, but storage is kind of wasteful." "Right. Anyway, just think about it." He grabbed the remote and unmuted the TV like the conversation was concluded. My phone buzzed on the side table. "Marcus." Quick text. "Hey Dad. Claudette and I are looking at investment properties. Good time to diversify. Right. You always said real estate was solid. Anyway, call me when you get a chance. No, hello. No, how are you? Just a setup. A pivot towards something he wanted. I set the phone face down on the table. Tomorrow morning I would drive to Westbridge University and find out what Diane Coulter needed to show me. I had a feeling it would explain why my chest had felt hollow since the moment she called. I left before Tyler and Priya woke up. Didn't want to answer questions. Didn't want Priya asking why I was dressed for a meeting or Tyler complaining again about the catalytic converter. The drive up I-5 to the University District took 40 minutes. Westbridge University occupied a hilltop campus of brick buildings and Douglas firs. Impressive and institutional. The kind of place that costs a great deal to attend. I parked in a visitor space and sat for a moment with the engine off. Whatever was inside that building, whatever Diane Coulter had found, it would explain the hollow feeling. I had known something was wrong before I had any evidence. The body knows. The third floor of the administration building smelled like old paper and institutional carpet. Diane Coulter met me at the elevator. She was around 60. Reading glasses pushed up into her silver hair. Expression professionally composed, but eyes carrying the strain of someone who had rehearsed a difficult conversation many times. Mr. Hargrove, thank you for coming. She led me to a small conference room overlooking the parking lot. A folder sat on the table, thick with documents. Can I get you water? I'm fine. Please just show me. She sat across from me and opened the folder. Mr. Hargrove, I've worked in academic records for 22 years. Last month I was auditing enrollment files for an accreditation review. Historical files, going back a decade. I came across your son Marcus's records. She slid a document across the table. I didn't reach for it yet. What am I looking at? She tapped the page. Marcus Hargrove was enrolled here for 4 years. Yes, but beginning in his junior year, there are discrepancies, financial aid irregularities, tuition invoices sent to you that don't match what was actually charged to the university system. She slid the folder fully toward me, and I picked it up. The documents were dense. Tuition statements, university billing records, side-by-side comparison tables. Someone had carefully prepared. My hands were steady, but my jaw tightened. Walk me through this. She pointed to columns of figures. Westbridge charged $18. $400 per semester for Marcus's final 4 semesters. That's what the university received. But the invoices sent to your address show $23. $500 per semester. For 4 semesters. The difference is $5. $100 per semester. Over 4 semesters. That's $20. $400. That was billed to you but never went to the university. I stared at the numbers. Where did it go? Diane Coulter's voice was careful. The invoices were generated from a personal email account. Not from our official billing system. Someone created documents designed to look like official university statements. She slid another sheet forward. This is the account the overage payments were directed to. It's not a university account. I looked at the account number, and you cross-referenced this how every detail is here. She said, original university records, the fraudulent invoices, the account routing information, copies of your checks deposited to that account, which we obtained through standard audit procedure because your checks were referenced in the discrepancy file. She reached into the folder and produced a smaller envelope. I made you a complete copy. Everything. I'm so sorry. Mr. Hargrove. I held the envelope and thought about my son Marcus, 33 years old, works in tech, visits twice a year, calls on holidays, seems successful. Arshimayuan. $400 stolen from me while I paid his tuition, thinking I was helping him build his life. The drive back to Lake Oswego passed the way bad news travels. Slowly, and then all at once. I gripped the steering wheel and let the facts settle into their correct places. The fraudulent invoices, the difference in billing, the personal account Marcus had stolen from me, not impulsively, not once, in a moment of desperation, but systematically, across 4 semesters, with forged documents, planned, calculated, executed with the confidence of someone who believed he would never be caught. Why steal from your father when your father is paying willingly? The question circled without landing. Unless paying willingly wasn't enough. Unless the money available wasn't enough. Unless the person asking had decided the person giving didn't need to know he was giving more than he thought. I pulled into my driveway just before noon. Inside, Tyler was on the phone, laughing about something. Priya was doing something on her laptop at my kitchen table. Coffee cup, leaving a ring on the wood. "Hey, Dad," Tyler called out. Did you think about the room for Priya's office? And the car thing?" I walked past them to my own office and closed the door. The envelope from Diane Coulter sat on my desk. Inside it, evidence that one son had stolen $20. $400 from me with forged documents. Outside the door, another son was squatting in my house with his girlfriend, cataloging my rooms for their own use. I sat in my chair and stared at the ceiling until I could breathe steadily. Sleep was irrelevant that night. I sat in my workshop at midnight, the envelope open on the workbench beside a legal pad I was filling with notes. Numbers. Dates. The wedding Marcus had had 2 years ago, where I gave a gift of $15. 000 cash. The car I helped him buy in his first year after graduation. 8,000,000. Ling ling ling. The emergency dental work I covered 3 years ago. 3,000,000. Lambe. I wrote those figures down, added them, then added the $20. Sube. I wrote other things too. Tyler's 14 months of free housing. My grocery bill had increased substantially since he and Priya moved in. I kept receipts out of habit. A business practice. I pulled 2 months of receipts and added the differential. A rough estimate, $900 per month in additional household costs, attributable to 2 extra residents who contributed 0 over 14 months. That was $12. Lube. I wrote that number down and circled it. At 2 in the morning, I made myself a sandwich and stood at the workshop window looking at my backyard. The plum tree I had planted when Marcus was born was fruiting again. I had always meant to make jam. Never had the time. Now I had time and no appetite for anything sweet. My phone showed a text from Marcus sent at 11 p.m. "Hey, I just wanted to follow up about that investment property idea. Claudette and I found something really promising. Could use a co-investor. Family rates, obviously." He had sent a smiley face. Family rates. I set the phone on the bench and went back to my legal pad. Wednesday morning, I searched for attorneys specializing in estate planning and asset protection. The third result was Patricia Nakamura, 28 years of experience. Offices in the Pearl District. Her firm's website listed elder financial abuse cases among her specializations. I called at 9 a.m. When they opened, her assistant gave me a Friday morning slot. Good. I had 2 days. I spent them quietly. Tyler asked twice more about his car and once about Priya's office. I said later each time. He and Priya went out most evenings, returning after midnight, waking me when they did. I documented the dates. Thursday night, Marcus called. "Hey, Dad. You never texted back about the investment thing. What do you think? I think I need to review some things first." I said, "Claudette and I are pretty excited about it. The numbers are solid. I'll take a look this weekend." Pause. "You okay? You sound tired." "I'm fine, Marcus. Good night." After I hung up, I sat in the dark for a moment. Then I picked up my legal pad and wrote, voice unchanged. Still confident. No sign he expects anything different. Patricia Nakamura's office occupied a converted Victorian near the Pearl District's art galleries. She was around 55. Sharp. Efficient. The kind of attorney who listens with a physical quality of attention that makes you feel every word is being weighed and filed. "Mr. Hargrove," she said as we settled. "You mentioned financial fraud and estate matters in your intake form. Tell me what happened. Start wherever feels right." I placed the envelope from Diane Coulter on her desk, opened it methodically. My eldest son defrauded me of $20. $400 during his university years using forged billing documents. The evidence is here. Original university records. Fraudulent invoices. Account routing. Diane Coulter at Westbridge assembled it during an accreditation audit. Patricia's pen moved steadily as I spoke. She examined the documents without visible reaction. "This is thorough," she said. Coulter did excellent documentation work. Do you intend to pursue criminal charges? I considered the question. That's part of why I'm here. Yes, but I also need to protect my remaining assets. I have a second son living in my home. No lease. No rent. 14 months. And I suspect my eldest was preparing to ask for money for an investment property as a next step. Patricia made a note. In Oregon, financial elder abuse statutes apply here depending on your age and circumstances. Separately, the fraudulent invoice scheme could constitute wire fraud if email was used, and certainly fraud by deception under state law. She turned a page in her notepad. Regarding your home and the tenant situation, without a written lease. Your son Tyler and his partner are month-to-month occupants under Oregon law. You can issue written notice requiring them to vacate. Standard notice in Oregon is 30 days for situations without cause when the tenancy is under 1 year. Since they've been there 14 months, some complications apply. But given no lease and no rent exchange, we have strong grounds. She pulled a reference book from her shelf and turned it to face me. Oregon Residential Tenancy Requirements. Notice periods. I read the relevant sections. It was straightforward. You can also pursue your elder son for restitution. Patricia continued. Through civil lawsuit, or as part of any criminal proceeding. The documentation Ms. Coulter provided would be compelling in either venue. She paused. Mr. Hargrove, have you considered an irrevocable trust for your business assets and property? Given what you've described, your sons have demonstrated they view your assets as accessible resources. A properly structured trust transfers your assets to professional management during your lifetime, with ironclad distribution instructions. Extremely difficult to challenge, especially when established under these circumstances. How soon can you start on all of this? She smiled slightly. Today. I'll need a signed engagement agreement. My fees for the full package. Eviction notices. Fraud documentation for civil proceedings. Trust creation. Come tu $9. Lambe. I had paid $112,000 to educate a son who stole $20. $400 from me, while I wrote the checks. $9,200 was not a large number in that context. That's acceptable. We spent an hour signing documents. When I left, I had a folder of engagement contracts, a preliminary trust structure outline, and the beginning of a civil fraud case. The elevator down was faster than the ride up, like gravity assisting. That evening, Marcus called again. I answered this time. Hey, Dad. So about the investment property, Claudette and I really think you'd want to get in early. We're talking maybe 50,000 for a buy-in. You'd see returns within 2 years. Family always gets priority access. $50,000 from a man who had stolen $20. 400 inches forged invoices, and was probably planning his next ask. I understand. I said, let me review some financial things first. Sure. The property won't wait forever, though. You know how Portland real estate moves. I know. I said, talk soon, Marcus. I hung up and added the conversation to my legal pad notes. The ask had arrived on schedule. I had guessed it would come within the week. The next 2 weeks changed the atmosphere in my house the way weather changes before a storm. I served Tyler and Priya with written vacate notices on a Tuesday evening. I placed the envelopes on the kitchen counter while they were eating. What's this? Tyler picked his up. He read it and looked up with the expression of someone who has just been handed something in a foreign language. That's a 30-day notice to vacate. His face went through several stages rapidly. You're kidding. I'm not. Priya took her envelope without opening it. Her expression went carefully neutral. Tyler stood. Dad, we have nowhere to go. That's a problem you have 30 days to solve. He stepped toward me. We're family. Is that how family works? I asked quietly. Because in my experience, family contributes. Family respects the people they live with. Family doesn't inventory rooms to repurpose them without asking. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Priya touched his arm. Let's go upstairs. Tyler didn't move for another moment. You're going to regret this, he said. It's legal, and it's done. Start looking for apartments. I went to my workshop and closed the door. Behind me, footsteps on the stairs. Voices. Then Tyler's phone voice. Aggressive. Dialing someone. I could hear him pacing overhead. The next morning, Marcus called. Tyler had called him. Dad, what's going on? You gave Tyler an eviction notice. Some things have changed. Marcus, I'm restructuring. Restructuring. Dad, Tyler has nowhere to go on 30 days' notice. He and Priya need more time. They've had 14 months. I said, and $0 contributed. That's not restructuring. That's you being harsh. Is it? Let me ask you something. How did the investment property search go? Did you find something good? A pause. Marcus's voice shifted register slightly. Yeah, we're still looking. Nothing firm yet. Interesting. Call me when you know more. And Marcus, I don't call to advocate for Tyler's housing situation again. That's between Tyler and me. Silence. Then fine. He hung up. I wrote the call down. Time. Duration. His tone shift when I mentioned the investment property. The tell was brief, but it was there. He knew I knew something. He just didn't know what. Patricia had the trust documents ready in 11 days. I drove downtown and signed everything. House transferred to trust management. Business interests secured. Investment accounts restructured. Distribution upon death to be handled per my precise instructions, with minimum legal requirements to my sons, and the remainder directed to 3 charitable organizations I had supported for years. Patricia slid the final form across the desk. Once this is filed and complete, challenging it becomes extremely difficult. They could try. Her voice was steady. But a properly executed irrevocable trust, and established while you are clearly competent and acting freely. That standard is very hard to overcome in court. I signed the last page. Done. She filed the documents electronically, while I sat in the chair, done inside 11 days. 40 years of work. Protected. She shook my hand at the door. I also want to mention, she said, the civil fraud case. I've prepared the demand letter for Marcus. It details the $20. Sube. The evidence. The legal basis for recovery. We can send it certified mail at your instruction. Send it? I said. Today, if possible. She nodded. One more thing. When your sons discover the full scope of what you've done, there's no taking it back. I looked at her steadily. I know that. They made their choices first. I'm just acknowledging the reality they created. The next 3 weeks were a graduate course in the mechanics of manipulation. Day 3 after the eviction notice, I came downstairs to find the guest, bathroom flooded. Somehow a towel had blocked the drain and the faucet had been left running. Tyler was in the kitchen when I found it. That's weird, he said, not looking up from his phone. Accidents happen. I dried the floor and called a plumber for the grout. Day 6. Priya's car appeared in my driveway for 2 hours and then left. When I checked the guest room later, several items from my linen closet had relocated. I didn't say anything, just documented it. Day 9. Marcus arrived unannounced from Seattle. He stood in my doorway looking deliberately casual. Hey Dad, I was in the area. Thought I'd check in. Portland is not on the way to anywhere from Seattle. But I held the door open. Come in. They were coordinating. Marcus. Tyler. Probably Claudette from a distance. I had expected this. We sat in the living room. Tyler appeared from upstairs. The staging was neat. Concerned sons. United front. Dad. Marcus said first. I've been thinking. You're alone here in this big house. All this property. The business. It's a lot for one person. Tyler nodded. Have you thought about simplifying a nice condo somewhere lower maintenance? Somewhere we could help you manage the transition. There it was. The house. They wanted me to sell the house. Split the proceeds. And call it family support. I looked at my 2 sons. Both performing concern. Both waiting for me to agree to hand them the accumulated work of 35 years. I'm not selling my house. I said. I stood. Thank you for stopping by. Marcus. Both of you. Tyler's jaw tightened. Dad. We're trying to help. I walked to the door and opened it. I know what you're trying. Good night. That same evening I called Patricia. Everything accelerated. She was filing the civil fraud papers the following morning. I also called my business attorney and updated the company ownership documentation. Every legal thread pulled tight. The next morning, a certified letter arrived at Marcus's Seattle address. I knew because Patricia confirmed delivery. I had spent 2 days imagining how he would read it. The fraud documentation, the demand for $20, 400 pouces restitution, the attached evidence. I didn't hear from him for 4 days. When he called, his voice was controlled, but I could hear the effort that took. Dad, this letter from your attorney. What is this? It's what it says it is. Marcus, you stole from me. The university has the original billing records. The fraudulent invoices you generated are documented. The account you directed the overpayments to is documented. You have options. You can repay the $20, 400 in full, or we proceed through the civil courts. Silence long enough that I checked to see if the call had dropped. Dad, I made mistakes. I was young and I was in over my head financially. And it was a bad decision. I want to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You have the letter. Respond to my attorney. I want a relationship with you, he said. His voice broke slightly. I want to be your son. You chose not to be my son when you forged invoices and stole from me while I wrote checks trusting you. I said it quietly. Not with anger. Just with the weight of it. You have my attorney's contact information. He hung up. Day 22 after the eviction notice. Tyler appeared in my workshop doorway. He'd been avoiding me for most of the 22 days, which suited both of us. Dad, he came in and sat on the stool by the workbench without being invited. I kept my hands on the wood I was sanding. I've been looking at apartments, he said. It's expensive out there. I know. I do. I get it. And I know Priya and I haven't been great about contributing here. Priya had apparently authored a talking points list. I could hear the unfamiliar phrasing, but we're family. And I think if we just reset things, if you gave us another chance, we could actually be more like real tenants. Pay something. Contribute more. He leaned forward. I'd stay. We'd be better. His eyes were working hard. I stopped sanding and looked at him. When did you realize that I was worth contributing to? When you needed to stay? That's transactional. Tyler. Not family. The word you want for what we've had here is not family. It's arrangement. And the arrangement is ending in 8 days. His face went flat. Fine. Fine. Then, you can be alone. You clearly want to be alone. You want to be alone and miserable. I picked up the sandpaper again. 8 days. I said. He left. The workshop door bounced in its frame. I kept sanding. Day 30. I pulled into my driveway at 9 inches the morning. An Oregon State official vehicle and Patricia's car were both already parked at the curb. We had coordinated the timing carefully. Official. Legal. No ambiguity. Patricia introduced me to the housing enforcement officer, a competent woman named Sandra Reyes. Everything is in order, Sandra said. The notice was properly served and the period has elapsed. Let's get this resolved. We walked to my front door together. I knocked 3 times. Silence inside. Then Tyler's voice. Muffled. We're not ready yet. Sandra stepped forward. This is Sandra Reyes with the Oregon Housing Enforcement Office. I'm here to enforce a legal vacate order. Open the door now or I'll be forced to enter under legal authority. Movement inside. Whispered argument. Then the door opened. Tyler stood in the entry looking like he hadn't slept. Priya was visible behind him. Phone in hand. You have 2 hours to gather personal belongings. Sandra said evenly. Clothing. Personal effects. No furniture that belongs to the property. Your time starts now. 2 hours. Tyler looked at me with something I wasn't going to call hurt. It was inconvenience wearing the mask of hurt. You're really doing this. I'm doing this. Tyler. Patricia's voice cut in. Focus on packing. Please. What followed was 2 hours of aggressive bag packing. Drawers slamming. Things muttered just below audibility. Priya cried at one point. Or performed crying. I stood in the hallway and watched. Didn't help. Didn't speak. Just witnessed the conclusion of 14 months of uninvited residency. When they carried the last bags out, Tyler stopped at the end of the driveway. When you're old, he said, and you can't manage that house alone. Don't call me. I won't, I said. He got in his car and drove away without looking back. Sandra Reyes handed me a document. That's it, she said. If they return without invitation, it's trespassing. Call us immediately. Patricia shook my hand. Well done. Most people don't see it through. I walked back into my house. Living room where Tyler had spent months horizontal on my couch with the remote. Kitchen where Priya had left her things on every surface. All of it mine again. Quiet. That evening my phone rang. Marcus. I let it go to voicemail. His message was brief. His attorney had been in contact with Patricia's office. He was prepared to discuss repayment terms. He wanted me to know he was sorry. He wanted to know if there was any path back. I listened to the message twice. Then I set the phone on my workbench and went back to sanding the bookcase I had started building 3 weeks ago. For my own workshop, a project for my own use. Something I had been meaning to do for 2 years and finally had the quiet and the time to begin. 2 weeks later, I sat in my backyard with morning coffee, watching the plum tree. September in the Pacific Northwest. Cool. Green. That particular quality of light that exists nowhere else. Quiet except for the birds. 2 weeks of genuine quiet. My house. Only mine. The coffee maker worked. My remote was where I left it. My refrigerator held food I had chosen. Small things. Enormous things. Tyler had texted once asking for money for their first month's deposit. I had replied with one word, no. Priya had tried calling from a number I didn't recognize. I declined it. Marcus and I were in a legal process mediated by our attorneys. He was repaying the $20. 400 inches structured installments. Patricia had structured a repayment agreement that made the civil case unnecessary if he held to it. He was holding to it. Whether that constituted remorse or pragmatism, I no longer tried to determine. A certified letter from Patricia's firm sat on my kitchen counter. The final confirmation of trust completion. Every asset secured. Distribution on my terms. Built to withstand exactly the kind of pressure my sons would apply. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Diane Coulter. The message read, I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I've thought about you often since we met. I hope things have improved. I hope you're all right. I looked at the message and thought about that morning in her conference room. The documents she had assembled. The quiet, careful way she had shown me the truth when everyone around me was building comfortable fictions. I typed back immediately, Diane. Things have improved significantly. I owe you a great deal. Would you be open to coffee sometime? Her reply came 3 minutes later. I genuinely like that. Just coffee between two people? No bad news this time. I smiled. First time in months that the expression reached my eyes honestly. My phone showed messages from Tyler. Marcus. A forwarded message from Claudette. All asking things. Wanting things. Performing concern they had not bothered to perform when I still believed everything they showed me. I put the phone in my pocket. I had an appointment with a woodworking class Wednesday evening. The bookcase in my workshop was half finished. Diane and I had a coffee date set for next Friday at a place near the university. I was volunteering at the Habitat for Humanity build site on Saturday mornings. A life was forming in the space where an arrangement used to be. The plum tree was heavy with fruit. I had looked up jam recipes the night before. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to Dad's Cold Justice, and share your thoughts in the comments below. To hear the next story, click the box on the left. Thank you for watching.